You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
Hi, I'm Hector Maris.
Live in Ohio. The Sport.
Here we are. Don't go anywhere. We're here. Welcome in to the Sports Fix. J-Rock with you. Let me tell you, a crazy last run up to the show here. Today's show is going to be it's going to be all over the place on my end anyway. Hopefully, a smooth transition between things on your end. It's going to be a loaded show. I can tell you that one for sure. Things are just moving around in flux, and let me tell you. I almost canceled the show. Not because of the craziness, because I got a text message. Let me just tell you, 10,000 comedians out of work, and I got one of them here. The worst pun in the world I just got a few minutes before we went on the air from Dan Wismar. Everything's in flux today, but it's going down on the Sports Fix. Welcome in, you guys. If you haven't been here before, you picked a good day to get here for the first time. If you've been here before, you know how we do it. You know the drill. It's even more jam-packed than usual today as we've got an entire 4 different guests on the slate here today talking about a gamut of different things. Tell somebody to join us. Go wherever you're listening, click the share button. They all have it. Today is a day. If you want to show off the Sports Fix to somebody else, today may be a nice day to do that. I'll go through the slate. We've got Coach Gary Waters coming up here from CSU, Doug Plagens from the Lake Erie Monsters, Dan Wismar. Dan Wismar is going to join us in hour one. We're flipping things. I'm telling you, script has been flipped today. We're doing things all over the place. Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan talking about the Cavaliers. We've got a lot coming your way here today. Just not in the order that we thought it was coming to you. About 4.5 minutes before we went on the air, but that's okay, baby. This is live radio. We will dodge the bullets and have some fun fighting cowboys and Indians together. And I only mean that as a figure of speech. Welcome into the Sports Fix. I'm your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rock. Hey, you got to qualify that. You got to let them know it's just a figure of speech. I don't know. Either somebody will sue me or somebody will show up with a cowboy hat and spurs on. Either way, I don't want to picture that scenario. Welcome into the Sports Fix. J-Rock back with you guys here once again. Jerry Myers, if you haven't been here before, the Big Daddy on the microphone, with you each and every weekday, live at noon, right here across the Sports Fix radio network. Some of you, that means you're listening live right on our home base, thesportsfix.net. Many of you listen to us on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective digital and mobile applications as well. Welcome in all of you, keeping the live audience rolling, and as well, welcome in the thousands of you who listen around the world 24 hours a day on digital delay on places such as iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider. Welcome into those of you who subscribe and feed us every day on iTunes and on Stitcher Radio and CarPlay and all of the other places that you may download and subscribe to and feed the show. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Sports Fix Nation, baby. You guys are loud and proud and keep it going strong, and I love having each and every one of you guys with us here. That's why we crack the phone lines and tell you this is not, you hear that? microphone I'm beating up right there. Popping your speakers out. That's not mine, it's yours. I'm giving it to you, and I'm going to open up the phones every day. Not just the phones, the social media, the interaction. That's the lifeblood of what we do. It's what makes this what I hope it to be anyway. And the more of that we have, the more of that we can be. It's your show, so use it. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. I've got a caller in. That's probably the only one I can take until we get through the loaded slate of guests here on the show. So I'll sneak in a quick, maybe I can get 3 minutes on the phones here in the open. When I open them back up at the end of the show, give me a call, 216-539-7535. Facebook, Twitter, email. That is the triad of ways to get a hold of us during the show. Well, there's more than just that. There's the Mixlr chat room as well, mixlr.com. If you listen to the show there, or if you just go there and find the stream of the show, there's an interactive pop-out chat room you can use. You don't even have to listen to the show on that site. You can listen on whatever site you're on and use the chat room there. You can hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Just search for The Sports Fix on Facebook. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE, all one word, The Sports Fix CLE, or you can email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. As I said, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, he's coming up less than 10 minutes from now. We're going to talk Browns and Bengals, and we're going to talk Buckeyes and Spartans, baby, as we preview it for this weekend with Dan Wismar. We've got Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland coming up to talk about the Cavs. They slept-walk through one last night in Portland. We'll talk about that. So different after the first quarter, the way that the rest of that game went out. Talking about that with Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland. Hour 2, Doug Plagens from the Lake Erie Monsters joins us to talk about the Monsters. They dropped one yesterday, took 2 over the weekend. We'll talk about all of that with Dougie P. All that, and wrapping things up, CSU Vikings men's basketball head coach Gary Waters is going to join us. Always a great time when Coach Waters is on the show. Of course, they've got their first exhibition game coming up this weekend, this Monday, and then their first regular season game at the end of next week. All of that is coming your way. The show is off and loaded. Couple of things real quickly. Pretty excited. Confirmed it this morning. You guys know I've been doing the high school football play-by-play. Got my first postseason assignments here coming up this weekend, calling some high school football Friday night playoff action. It'll be a lot of fun as I get to call Willoughby South as the Rebels take their shot at winning a state championship as they take on Glenville Friday night on 1330 AM WINT Integrity Radio and WINTradio.com. It'll be the football game of the week. It's the playoff featured game. So I'll tell you guys more about that later on in the week, but pretty cool. And I was just kind of excited because there's 22 different broadcasters. This was my first season doing that, and I was one of the guys assigned to the playoff game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited. Can't wait to see it. Just found out. Hey, you hush up in the chat room. I just found out like right before we went on the air. So it's not like I could have told anybody ahead of time, but that's going to be cool. Looking forward to that. And I'll talk to you guys some more about that. Got a lot of opportunities coming up here. Some cool stuff we'll tell you guys about. Let's get rocking and rolling. Cavs, as I said, sleepwalk through one last night. We'll talk more about that in a minute. You know what? I only have a limited amount of time to go to the phones here in the first segment, and I want to let somebody else talk. So here we go. Caller, kick us off on the Sports Fix. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Big Daddy, how you doing, baby?
Hey, I recognize this is my man,
how
Big
you
Bob.
Doing, baby?
What's up? Big Bob from Bristol, Connecticut. How you doing?
Not too bad. Who'd ever thunk that our Cleveland Browns, even with a cupcake schedule, would be 5-3 at this time?
Hey, there you go, baby. You know,
I surely am one fan for almost 60 years, would have never, ever thunk it. Mike Pettin, you proved me wrong, buddy. I never...
only halfway through.
Never thought he would have done what he's doing right now. But
he's done
defense.
Well. I'm with you. He's done well. I'm with you, brother. Let's see what happens in the second half. It's still a lot of work to be done, but it's going to be...
absolutely.
You know, it's going to be something
absolutely,
to see.
But this is his first year, and he's really done a fine job. Fine job.
All right, let me put you on the spot, Big Bob, because we got a limited amount of time here. Who's going to win? Do the Browns? Listen, I've said it. They can go play with Cincinnati, but going on the road, and as you guys may or may not have heard, 17 straight in the division on the road that the Browns have lost. If you do the math, they play 3 road games in the division every year, so you're going back 5+ years before you find a time that they went on the road in the division.
Heartbreaking.
So that's the next. We've talked about steps. You win your opener or you win your home opener. Then we go on the road, and then we play bad teams and all these things that we say shows growth. And, well, the Browns wouldn't have done that last year. Well, there's the next one. Are you ready for prime time? I noticed yesterday when I said that, Bruce took that literally. I didn't mean the prime time would be the reason whether the Browns lose. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, are you ready for the big game? Are you ready for the opportunity, or do you fold in the moment? That's the next test, and we'll see. I mean, none of us know until we see them play whether they do. I've gotten all kinds of varied predictions from people who go both ends. Some people think the Browns are going to go lay a huge egg, and some people think the Browns are going to go shock the world and smack down Cincinnati on Thursday night. It's amazing to see amongst the fan base and even amongst the media how varied people's opinions are about this game coming up on Thursday. But as we mentioned yesterday, it's just cool to say for the first, I still can't believe it's the first time since 1986 that these teams have met week 10 or later with first place on the line. Now, they did meet with wild card playoffs on the line a couple of times in between, but first time that late in the season with first place on the line.
Isn't that something?
That's crazy. You're talking Bernie and Marty Schottenheimer. I mean, like I said yesterday, that's not just the 99 and beyond. That's a decade of Art Modell's Browns, too. So, interesting piece of history. And now you go on the road and see what you can do. And then we'll look back on Friday and we'll say, well, they did it, or nope, they're still not where they want to be.
Yeah, I for one, think our Cleveland Browns are going to shock the football world in Cincinnati tomorrow night, and I am going to be home to watch it. Nothing will be able to tear me apart from my TV and watching that game.
They'll be able to watch it in Cincinnati too.
I think the Browns are going to do it. I really, really do. I think they're going to put it together. I think the defense is going to come out firing despite their injuries. And I think they're going to get it done. That's
Big
my
Bob,
prediction.
I hope you're right. The defense is going to have to go to work because they've got some opponents on that other side offensively. We know what Cincinnati can do, but we'll talk more about that. Big Bob, I got to let you go, my man. Thank you very much for the call. Anything else before we go?
It's always a pleasure to talk to the Sports Fix.
My man, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Have a good one, Big Bob.
Okay, Big Daddy. We'll see you now. Be safe.
You got it. You too. My man, up in Bristol. Always a fun time. Good call. All right, guys, you know what? We're going to talk more about that. Since he picked it up on there, we'll talk, of course, the Cavaliers. We'll get back to that with Eddy Jansen here later on in the hour. We're going to pick right back up there, talk about the Browns and the Bengals tomorrow night, and preview the big one, the clash that most Buckeyes fans had circled from the beginning of the season. Buckeyes and Spartans, it's coming up. We'll talk about it. Coming up next, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan joins us. We'll talk Browns and Buckeyes, battle for first place in prime time. You know, Cincinnati, by the way, we'll talk about it more when we come back. Traditionally lays an egg in prime time. When I saw their career record in primetime games, I said, wow. It's just it's probably one of those stats that doesn't necessarily mean this, that, or the other thing. But anyways, we'll talk about that coming back. We'll talk about the Buckeyes and the Spartans and so much more coming up next. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan joins us. As I said, Eddy Jansen from More Than a Fan Cleveland talking Cavaliers. Doug Plagens, Hour 2, Lake Erie Monsters, and Coach Gary Waters from CSU, all still coming your way in just a little bit as the Sports Fix rolls on. Phone lines are closed. You guys can keep the conversation going on Facebook, on Twitter, email, facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, The Sports Fix at AOL.com. When we come back, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan joins us next, talking Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and Spartans. Oh my! Here on The Sports Fix.